We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. This is Professor John Vile from over at MTSU, talking politics, political science, and the like. Thanks for coming on. Just
glad to be here.
Kind of, throwing out ideas, questions, comments. We got some folks who have some comments for you. We'll go next to my good friend Joe. Joe, good morning. Hi, Joe.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, what's on your mind?
Just a question for the professor. I'm pretty sure he knows the answer. Then I'll make a comment. Who was the last president that balanced the budget? And
I think I do know. I think it's Clinton,
I'm
wasn't
sure
it?
he does. On the Japanese car manufacturers and a lot of manufacturing in Japan, what they're doing is buying their products from Korea because they can buy it from Korea cheaper than they can make it in Japan. So Trump he's a master of deception. He gets on the wall and gets on that, riding that real heavy. That don't do much. It gets kind of hot potato, so he jumps to Korea. That turned out to be a joke. And now he's working with China, and he doesn't already backed up on what he said the tariffs are going to be. But I promise you, these farmers and some of these people have been selling their products overseas. When these tariffs come in, you're going to see the prices go up and a lot of farmers go under. So that's my comment and question.
Was it Clinton? He's going to tell us, I hope.
Was it Clinton, Joe?
He's going to tell us, I hope.
Was it Clinton, Joe?
He's going to tell us, I hope.
I think he hung up and put us on hold.
Okay.
I believe it was Bill Clinton also. I'm pretty sure. I see, even though it's interesting when you say balance the budget, does that mean we're completely out of debt? Is that what that means?
Well, it meant that year.
That year, exactly.
We didn't eliminate
time.
the deficit for that year. We balanced the budget.
Okay, that's the difference. And so maybe during that 1 year, I do recall that. That was during the Clinton years. And yeah, just balancing any budget these days.
Yes.
It's so hard for any president. Let's go to Penny next. Hi, Penny.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. I got a couple comments. First of all, my comment about former presidents and how they may or may not blame the previous administration, and this is what I feel about that. I think that the only presidents that have blamed the previous administration are those that were or are incompetent and need a fall guy. That does not describe neither President Clinton nor President Obama. The second thing I want to say is that the real issue in American politics is that we're facing a crisis of character. And I don't think that is in question. We've got to get back to believing in truth and integrity. And until we do, the West is just going to be a smokescreen that's going to end up in disaster, as we have seen back during the time Bush 2 was in office and previous Republican administration. And I want to say one more thing, but this is about the mayoral election in Nashville. I hope that, and I don't even live in Nashville, but I do watch the races.
Sure.
I hope that the people in Nashville will continue to support Vile. You know, he took over during a crisis, and he has done a very good job to bring the people together, and he seems to be a really honest, good guy. Now, Cooper, on the other hand, is a developer. He paid for his own election campaign. He's a developer, and he's selling the people a bill of goods. Do you really think he's going to be able to come in and change deals that have already been in place way before Biden came to office? I think they better think twice about going after the guy who says, I'm a change agent, and he's financing his own campaign, and he's a developer. So that's just for them. I hope that they think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your call, ma'am. I appreciate it. Yeah, I knew we may get a few local calls on that, and it's going to be interesting, the mayoral race. And the truth is, it's neat. People like Penny don't live in Nashville, but let's face it, Nashville's the centerpiece, and whether or not you live here where you just visit it, I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to this mayor's race.
Absolutely.
And it's been interesting.
And of course, he is. I guess on the other side, he's been a councilman, so he's not just a developer.
No, right. He's been a councilman. It was interesting. We just hosted, Channel 5 did, co-hosting the debate at Belmont, and I watched that intently. And it was interesting. I think these are two good men. I think
agree.
Nashville has been lucky to have had, I think, by and large, some pretty quality mayors over the past couple of decades. And I think these two, but they do have their differences. She's right.
Yes.
I mean, he does come from more of a business background, and maybe, if there's one thing, I don't know, Professor, if you get this, Nashville looks to me, there's a lot of issues we're dealing with. But that budget and the spending and the monies is what needs to be worked out. Okay, and there's no reason for a city
follow the money in politics.
with this kind of growth, and the tax base that we have, and the money coming in, and the decisions that have been made on spending, that we can't afford to pay our police officers or teachers more.
Right.
I don't get that. There's something wrong with that picture. And I'm not saying Briley's only been there for 2 years. I know they've both been part of the council. Cooper's from the outside now. I just don't know. But that's where I think it may come down for a lot of people.
One of the things interesting about this race, I think I've heard in recent times, there's never been a sitting mayor who was not reelected, but the current mayor was not himself elected as mayor.
Very
so
different
he's a little bit more vulnerable than he probably, when Machiavelli used to say something about a prince who won a kingdom was far likely to keep it than someone who inherited a kingdom. And I think you see a little bit of that here.
I agree. I'm glad you brought that up. Just in general terms, as you observe the political landscape, do you believe the power of incumbency is as strong as it's ever been? I would make the argument it's even stronger than I've ever seen it. I mean, there are people that somehow win office that then do, frankly, some reprehensible things and are still reelected. And I don't know if the voters are just stupid. I don't know if the voters don't care, or if the voters say, well, he may be a crook, but he's our crook. But I've seen it time and again where I'm like, you reelected him? I mean, you've
a lot
got
of
to
it,
be
of course,
kidding
is
me.
name recognition.
Okay, name recognition, but money.
You and I probably keep up with politics more than many people do. But even me, I've gone into the polls before, and I see a local person, and I just don't know, but maybe I know their name because I've seen them on the city council or something like that. And so it's incumbent, name recognition and ability to raise money, of course,
is huge. So do you think it's as powerful as it ever, whether it's presidential politics,
it generally is,
to even local politics, to even sheriff's races?
But again, in the mayor's race, Cooper, partly because of Congressman Cooper, and former governor has good name recognition as well. I thought what Penny said about character is very interesting. It'd be interesting to know if you had two voters and you had to press the economic lever or the character lever, which one they would press. I think for many it might be the economy. But character's important, and early framers used to talk about citizen virtue and the so-called small R republicanism. These were people who believed that citizens needed to be engaged, citizens needed, they would keep track of those who were acting, and virtuously meant less personal virtue than it did for the public good. But certainly, I think there are questions, particularly in Trump's case. It's sometimes hard to know whether he's separating out his personal business and his brand from the public good or not.
Well, he sure wants to host the G7 Summit next year at his resort. And the question there about whether or not he can profit from that, which I think is a silly question. Of course, it's his. Whether he gets direct money right into his pocket, the publicity that's going to come from that is going to be great for his business.
Yes, it will.
And, long held, the rule of thumb is, you're in political office, you should not use that to profit personally, and that's an issue. Hey, listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, more of your phone calls, more of our conversations about politics at the national level, especially right after this.